Before we get to our show, here is a podcast we think you're going to love.
I'm Danielle.
And I'm Christy.
And we have a podcast just for you fans of Mr. R.L. Stine.
That's right. Danielle and I grew up tucked into a corner with Fear Street goosebumps and a snack. And now we're doing it all over again.
Every other week, Christy and I will grab a treat and take you back through our favorite books from our favorite teen horror author.
We add music and sound effects to help the story along, and we do our fair share of running on tangents too.
So grab yourself a snack and find us every other Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's do it.
Hello, friends and enemies. Welcome to your favorite Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast. This is Perhaps It's You. I'm Liz.
And I'm Samantha.
And we would like to say a special hello to BD Wong, wherever he may be.
Thanks for listening, BD Wong.
Yeah, he's definitely wherever he is, he's definitely listening. Perhaps on like a hike.
Ooh, yeah. I bet BD Wong is on a hike.
I bet he's on, just like a short hike, stay in shape. But while listening to the podcast. That sounds totally true.
Prove it's not true. I don't know.
Yeah, unless you're BD Wong. That's going to be really hard to prove you're not true. So, BD Wong, get in touch. Say I'm a liar. That's fine. Hi, Samantha.
Hi. It's raining super hard here. I don't know if that's going to like pick up on the audio or
I can't hear it.
But well, good. It's
like it was raining
really coming down
a minute ago, but it seems to have stopped. Somehow, since we have to stay home all the time, I kind of prefer that it's raining. So it's just like, oh yeah, I'd be staying home anyway. It's fine.
I do feel the same. And it's been like threatening to rain all weekend. And every day I've been like, where's this fucking rain at? And it's finally arrived Sunday afternoon.
The rain is finally here. And it's finally time to listen to a new episode of Perhaps It's You.
Yes.
Do
we have any updates?
I wanted to thank listener Thomas, who sent us some lavender shortbread cookies that I just opened up, and man, oh man, are they delicious. I noticed there's 2 boxes. I assume you expected me to give one of those to Samantha. You are dead wrong about that. What a sucker you are. I will be eating them all. They're very good. Thank you.
Except when I sneak into your house in the middle of the night and steal out box. That sounds delicious. I would blame it on a ghost.
And I was like, I really thought we got 2 boxes of these shortbread cookies. And then it's like, I don't know, Liz. Have you checked for ghosts? Or just a man living in your attic that you don't even know is there? Okay, I have a very tiny entrance to my attic. It's like just a square that's basically like the circumference of a person. And I have never peeked up there. I'm kind of scared of it. I'm convinced it's full of spiders. Max says that's not true, but I mean, it's just like, it's not even like really useful for storage. It's just like where insulation is and crap like that. But
I mean, you don't know that there's not someone up there eating your shortbread cookies as we speak.
That's kind of my point. Is I don't know. Anything could be up there. I really don't know.
There could be a treasure up there. You really should maybe send Mac up there to investigate.
He's looked, to assure me it's not just like a spider breeding ground, which was my fear. But yeah, I don't know. There could just be. There's a movie I've never seen called like Hider in the House or something. That's like a guy who's like built into the house, and he's like, I mean, I'm assuming it's a much bigger house, but he's just like living in the attic or something, and they don't know he's there.
That is nightmare fuel for sure.
Yeah. There's one episode of Millennium where a killer goes to open houses and then like hides in a closet and then comes out and kills people, and that fucking scared me so bad.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared.
I'm kind of scared right now talking about it. Okay, so if anybody out there is trying to sell your home and you have an open house, like just check the closets before you go to sleep, please.
That's
because that really scared me. It's
Well,
kind
and
of,
now I think like now that it's COVID, right? You have to make like appointments, and I
I'm
think they're.
sure.
But I don't know that the owner is there. Like I think there's ways where you can like be let into the house. I don't know, with some sort of locking mechanism on the door or something. I'm not really
Oh
sure,
yeah,
but it
sure. Yeah,
seems
yeah.
like one of those people could just stay behind in the closet, and that's terrifying. Watch
Yeah,
out, everyone.
I probably shouldn't have brought that up.
All our
Uh,
listeners are having nightmares as we speak.
I also wanted to bring up. I recently saw a little news item. That and this is from a while ago, but I just became aware of it. This is from quite a while ago. That mega superstar Lucy Liu has had sex with a ghost. This is the little clip. I saw this clipping on Twitter. While promoting Charlie's Angels in 1999, Lucy Liu revealed to US Weekly that she had had a sexual encounter with a ghost. Some sort of spirit came down from God knows where. Oh, sorry, that's very different. Some sort of spirit came down from God knows where and made love to me, said Lou. It was sheer bliss. I felt everything. I climaxed. And then he floated away. It was almost like what might have happened to Mary. That's how I felt. Something came down and touched me, and now it watches over me.
Wow. Honestly, is that the perfect sexual partner?
Yes, also I'm like jealous of this ghost.
Oh,
To be the
100%.
to be the ghost that had sex with Lucy Liu and is like now her guardian angel, I guess.
That's amazing.
It's an amazing tale. I wish I knew more. Also, I think I forgot to mention an update from a case we talked about recently where it turns out the person we were talking about is author Lois Duncan, who wrote like I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, we totally slipped our minds. I think it's because we were so hung up on how like absurdly racist she was that it just like didn't connect in
It did
my
not
brain.
occur to me that that would be the same Lois Duncan.
Yeah, it
Or
didn't occur to me at all.
no. Apparently she's written a couple books about her daughter's death that are supposedly good. I don't know. I don't really apologize. I just was unaware.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot that I meant to acknowledge that egregious error. We just didn't put two and two together. That Lois Duncan.
Yeah, oh, it's that Lois Duncan who blames quote the Vietnamese for her daughter's death. That's strange. But yeah, if anybody has read those books about her daughter's death and I don't know, has a specific recommendation or thinks we should read them or something, let us know.
Yeah.
That was a weird twist. Didn't see that coming.
I know, I didn't see that one coming either. I have a small update and a thank you to listener Amy, who in our Facebook group posted the pronunciation of that weird town from our last episode that started with an S.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The way that Amy says it's pronounced is Scaniatlas.
That's what we said, right?
Which is weird. I don't think so, but that is how it's pronounced.
I think that's exactly what we said. I see no room for an improvement.
Or is it the town or the lake? I don't remember. Maybe it was both. I'm not sure. Anyway, that was how it was. That's the pronunciation.
I think it was the town. She just remembered that it started with an S and was in New York and had a weird name. And somehow from that, people figured out it was going to be Scaniatlas.
Yeah.
However you say it.
That's how you say it. So it's a weird name. Is it the weirdest name in the whole state? Not sure, but it is weird.
I like the idea that cops sat down with a map and they were like, that's not that weird. This one, that's also not that weird. St. Lorraine, I wouldn't call that weird. No. Yeah. It's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, that was my only update. Very important.
Oh, very important. Yeah, I don't know that I have any others. I'm mostly thinking about this Lucy Liu ghost situation.
Oh, someone else pointed out in our Facebook group that Werewolf Smackdown is like the 5th book in a series. Are you going to let your mom know so she can read the other ones?
You know, she was not that impressed with Werewolf Smackdown, so I don't think so. Yeah, it's also supposed to be like a kind of a satirical series, so clearly those jokes were not landing.
Clearly.
Because like we were making fun of it for being silly, and I guess it is like intentionally silly, but also if my mom wasn't like, oh, this book is so funny, she was like, I don't know. Werewolf Smackdown. Oh, whoa, I do have such an important update. Oh my goodness, thanks for reminding me, Samantha. My mom read The Stone Prince.
A very important update.
Yeah, she was very disappointed, gotta say. Let's find that
Dang.
text. This was the text I got. Sadly, stone statues appear to be nothing like gargoyles. The Stone Prince is a light romance where a girl meets a stuck-up prince and changes so there's a happy ending. Only twist is a fairy tale element, and she puts in parentheses sci-fi, where a prince from another world is cursed into stone until a maiden love loves him. A little bit like Beauty and the Beast. A kiss near the beginning of the book changes him back to human. So much for a book that involved an erotic sculpture garden.
Yeah, so he's
Sounds
human
boring.
for most of the book?
Yeah, and he's not even like the main love interest.
That's dumb.
I know. I hate it.
Yeah, disappointing.
Mom, I saw this book going for like $20, $30 on eBay. I have no idea if anyone's paying that, but I say sell it. Sounds like trash.
Imagine if you had paid $20 for that.
I would be so mad. Okay, but I did get a recommendation for if anybody's looking. My mom hasn't read these yet, but actual gargoyle romance books. There is a series by Christine Warren. First one, Heart of Stone.
Of course. It has to be called that.
Second one, Stone Cold Lover.
Okay, I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, that sounds bad, I gotta say. The cold part I'm not into. Okay. You want to guess the third one?
Something about being hard.
You're so right. It's hard as rock. Oh my God.
I mean, come on.
I'm so proud of you. Okay. Do you want to guess the fourth one?
Okay, we've got Stone Cold, Hard. I don't know. Granite? Is that going to come into play?
I wish. No, fourth, Rocked by Love.
Oh, okay, that's way better.
Is it though?
I mean,
it should have been Don't Take It for Granted.
Oh, you're right. That would have been amazing.
That would have been so amazing, right? Everybody's like, no, ew, gross. Wait, sorry, I have to pull up this. Oh, okay. So this is a series of 6. So if that might not be enough gargoyle romances for my mom, but okay. Book number 5, again, hard to handle. She's just running out of words because by 6 it's Heartbreaker.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I assume Heartbreaker. Is it a play on that? On Heartbreaker? That's bad though. That's not good.
Gargoyle. Okay. Well,
maybe 7 will be taken for granted.
It should be. It should be. Christine Warren, where are you? She also writes. It looks like she does have some werewolf books, including "Baby, I'm Howling for You." I couldn't make that up if I tried. I'm not that funny. I could not have made up.
Baby, I'm howling for you. All right.
Yep.
Those are great. Is your mom going to read those?
Oh my goodness. I just found this whole Goodreads list called Gargoyles in Romance.
Oh my gosh.
Holy shit. This is the mother load. I am so happy right now.
How many books are on this list? Is it substantial?
Okay. I want you to guess how many books are on this list.
100.
So close. 81.
Wow. That is. I thought I was being generous, but that's pretty close.
With books such as How Not to Kiss a Gargoyle by Elizabeth A. Reeves.
I'm really curious.
I'm so happy. Oh my goodness. Stone Cold the Seduction.
Stone Cold Seduction. Again, that doesn't sound appealing to me.
Yeah, it really doesn't. The Beautiful and the Cursed.
Okay. How many romance books are called The Beautiful and the Cursed? There's got to be thousands.
Yeah, I don't know. But not every romance book is called The Gargoyle Gets His Girl. Oh my God. This is like the best news. I'm so glad I could discover this with all y'all. This is the best news I've gotten in a long time. Since probably there was swimming in Animal Crossing. Wow.
You know what? We don't have a lot of bright spots nowadays, so this is great. I'm looking forward to your mom's reviews of these gargoyle romances, honestly.
Of all 81 of these books, such as White Hot Kiss by Jennifer L. Armentrout.
Have you considered starting another podcast with your mom where you read werewolf or gargoyle romances?
I would love to. Okay, I tried to get her to record, just like even on her phone, like a little review of Werewolf Smackdown, and she was like, "Only if you really need me to." Like she was like, could not be less. Like, is this gonna help you get an A on your assignment? Because otherwise, like,
I'd rather
no.
not.
But I think, yeah, I would love. Mom, let's do it.
That'd be an amazing project. And with 80 something, it's not like there's an unlimited supply. Like there's an end to it. It's not like you're gonna be doing this forever. It would just be like a project, like a side project.
Yeah, of reading Blood from a Stone by Cynthia Lucas. This is probably the most these books have been talked about ever.
Yeah, I don't actually want to read any of these, but I really want to know what all of them are about. So this is kind of why I want you to make that podcast so I can listen to it.
I'm pretty sure they're all about people falling in love with hot men that at night are gargoyles, or maybe it's during the day they're gargoyles. Look, I'm not really sure on the deets.
Yeah, is it? Yeah, see, this is why you need to make the podcast so we can all find out.
So we can hear about. That's another good one. Gargoyles in the Round. Okay, Viola Grace. I don't know.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, okay. Okay. Wow, this is not my soon-to-be announced Gargoyle Romance podcast. This is actually an Unsolved Mysteries podcast. And we're on season 5, episode 18.
This episode is wild, y'all. I don't know. Settle in, because this is going to go some strange places.
I'm glad we finally got something. We haven't had something that's just bizarre in a while. We haven't had someone who's like, my skin makes gold, or this Jesus blinked, or I found a magic rock and became like a strip mall tycoon. We haven't had something where you just are like, this is not a thing. I was not expecting to talk about this today. But now we finally have something of that caliber.
Yep, we sure do. This is Mysterious Rain.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep, you heard that right. Yeah, like Liz said, we are in season 5, episode 18, and most of this episode is this unexplained phenomenon segment about Mysterious Rain. So it opens at a funeral. It's February 24, 1983, and we're in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. James Kishaw has died of cirrhosis of the liver at age 63. James's grandson is in attendance, having been granted a furlough from the county jail. His name is Don Decker, and he is 21 years old. Don has had a troubled life up until this point. At the time of the funeral, he was serving a 12-month jail sentence. What's the difference between the two? I'm not sure. For receiving stolen property. But Robert Stack says that Don had kept a dark secret, and that was that the man he was, quote, obliged to publicly mourn had physically abused him from the time he was 7 years old.
Yeah, it's dark.
Yeah, not great. So Don is interviewed from the show, and I must say, Unsolved Mysteries set design is on point for this one. They make him look and sound like he's next to a window at night during a rainstorm. There's like a blue light kind of like angled in, and you can hear, really good. You can hear the rain, and you can kind of see it reflected on the wall behind him. It's very well done.
Okay, but why does the guy in the reenactment not look a thing like Don?
He doesn't look a thing like him at all.
Honestly, because I'm not very smart, it took me a second to be like, oh, that's supposed to be Don.
Yeah,
it's that's that guy?
It's not good casting. This isn't a read of real life Don, but reenactment Don is fine.
That's why I was so confused.
It's nice to look at.
So I was like, oh, did he get to pick his own casting? Is that what happened? It's like, I got to cast myself, and I was like, it was a spot-on image for me. Either Kristen Ritter or Kerry Washington. Get one of them in here. Only they can capture my true natural beauty.
Of course. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's up with this casting, but I mean, you'll enjoy the reenactment. That's all I got to say.
Wait, can I just say that Don himself has a mustache?
Yeah, did you name Don's mustache? It's barely there, but there's one.
Okay, I did, but the thing is, it makes no sense.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it doesn't need to make sense. It's a name for a mustache.
So here, if you're not aware, this is how the mustache naming process works. In general, I just name it the first thing that pops in my mind because it's like pure. It's like a blank slate. But in that case, that means that this mustache is named Alvin and the Mustaches.
You know what?
And honestly, I have no idea why.
You know what? The color is right.
I don't know. I just, for some reason, reminded me of Alvin and the Chipmunks. And then that's named. And it doesn't make any sense. And I cannot explain that thought process.
Alvin and the Mustaches. You know what? I like it. I like it.
The thing is, there's so many mustaches in this episode, particularly in the first segment, that I got kind of annoyed.
There's a lot of mustaches, and the best one is yet to come.
Yes.
There's a very impressive mustache later on. But yeah, this episode is full of mustaches. Alvin and the Mustaches is this episode.
Yeah, exactly. Except it should be Dawn in the Mustaches, I guess.
I guess. But if his mustache was named Alvin, it's the first mustache we see.
Right. Exactly.
Then this episode is, I don't know where I'm going.
Alvin and the Mustaches. See, you made it make almost sense.
You kind
of spun that straw into gold. I appreciate it.
I do my best. All right, so he's at the funeral, and real life Dodd, present day Dodd, says that he was hoping that good had finally won out over evil now that his grandfather was dead, finally.
Do you think he went to the funeral just to be like, okay, he really is dead? That's really his corpse right there.
I think he might have.
I could see that. I could see that. It was supposed to be comforting. He'll be like, oh, that guy will never get me again. Right. There he is, dead as a doornail.
Exactly. Robert Stack says that indeed Don's life was about to change, but not in the way that he expected.
No, because no one on earth would expect this. No one would go, oh, my abusive grandfather died. I bet that's going to lead to mysterious rain. So to say he didn't expect it is kind of like, yeah, all right.
That's true.
Of course.
So according to Robert Stack, on the night of the funeral, Don was so unnerved by the way his parents glorified his grandfather's memory that he decided to spend the night at his friend's house. These were Bob and Janine Kiefer, whom he had met a few months earlier. It was at the Kiefer's house that Robert Stack says, quote, all the uneasy feelings about his grandfather's passing came back to haunt him. He was apparently sitting in the living room with the Kiefers while they were making dinner when, according to Robert Stack, the, quote, air around him suddenly vibrated with a deep chill.
That just happens when I walk into a room, though. Everybody like turns their heads, like even though no records are playing, a record scratches, and everybody goes, "What?" And like a cold burst of air comes into the room, and then it's just me standing there, and everybody's like, "Damn."
That's what happened when this reenactment Dawn walked into the room. I'm sure.
Yeah.
At the same time, water began to drip from the living room walls. All the while, Dawn sat in the chair in an eerie trance-like state. And the reenactment makes it look like water was literally pouring down the wall. Not like just a few drips, like pouring from the ceiling down the walls.
Okay.
So, not knowing what to do, they frantically called their landlord. This is Ron Van Wy. Thinking that they must have a terrible leak or a pipe burst or something, which would be your first thought. At this point in the reenactment, we basically have rain falling inside these people's house. It's no longer just dripping down the walls. It's raining from the ceiling in this one room.
I would say all landlords are evil, but this guy seemed like a pretty decent landlord because they just were like, get over here now, and he did.
Yeah, and he brought his wife, and
that's not how landlords work. Oh, it's an old building. I'll send someone around this week, and then they just don't. So the fact that this guy was like, what? No information. I need to get over there. Hop, skip, and a jump.
Right. Yeah, he ran right over. They were all puzzled by this inside rain because there was no plumbing in this part of the house. So it's not like a pipe burst overhead because there was no pipe.
Also, this is like something from the Rainforest Cafe. It's not like dripping
there's like
from like one point. It's like just full on raining indoors.
Yeah, there's like a mist according to the reenactment as well, and I'm sure
Yeah.
everything is getting soaked at this point. At the beginning they tried to grab buckets, but I think it got like there's no way you could have a big enough bucket. So I think they were just completely confused by this. At a loss for how to handle the situation, they do the logical thing,
What any of us would do.
which is call the police.
Yeah. They call the police on water.
What are the police going to do? I don't understand. Okay, this makes
Have
no
you
sense.
seen that video where a woman calls the police on like a whale?
What? A whale?
Yeah, there's this family like out on a boat and a whale comes like right under their boat. And
Okay.
this teenage girl gets so freaked out that she calls 911 on a whale.
What? You're in the ocean.
She wanted to talk to the manager of the sea, but they weren't available. So that's how I sort of feel about this, though, that you're like, okay, this is really weird. We don't understand where this water is coming from. The police will help.
Are there no emergency plumbers in this town? Like, why do they call the police? I don't understand.
You would call a plumber.
I don't understand. Anyway, Officer John Bojan arrives, but he also doesn't know what to do. Because what would you do?
What law is being broken? Other than like nature. The laws of nature.
The water is breaking and entering, Liz.
Oh, you know what? It's trespassing.
Yeah.
You're onto something. Did
Yeah.
they give permission to that rain to be inside?
They
No.
sounds like they didn't. Officer Bojan has a mustache. Did you name this one? I said it was strawberry blonde, and I don't like it. That was my note about this mustache.
Oh, I think I might have missed him. The
There's
next one I
just
have is
so many
Richard
mustaches.
Walbert.
I don't remember who that is.
I don't know. It's some other cop, but I called his "Take a Stash Out of Crime," which I can't believe I haven't used that yet.
That's good. That's a good one. I think all of these cops have mustaches, basically. Okay, at this point in the reenactment, the house is filled with mist. And my note is that their house must be completely destroyed at this point. It's like been raining for hours. When the cops come inside to investigate, they see water droplets traveling horizontally.
Yeah, they put a lot of their special effects budget into that happening.
I already know how to describe this. It's like a bright light in the reenactment, but it like travels in between the officers and then like flies into the other room.
It almost looks like a slow motion bullet in a movie, except
little
it's
bit.
smaller.
A little bit. Okay, so having not solved the problem, the police leave to go write up a report, and the Kiefers and Dawn are hungry at this point, so they decide to leave and get something to eat. I guess, like, this is 23 hours. This is almost a full day later, apparently, where
It's
rain
just raining.
it's been nonstop falling in their living room. So Don Van Wy and his wife stay behind and notice that the moment the Kiefers and Dawn leave the house, the mysterious inside rain completely stops. At this point, they realize that one of the three have to be causing this somehow. And then at the same time, the three of the Kiefers and Dawn arrive at the pizzeria across the street owned by Pam Scrofano. She had apparently visited their house earlier in the morning to see the rain firsthand, and she was convinced that it was the, quote, devil's handiwork.
Yep. That's what the devil wants. Indoor rain. Think about it.
It's in the Bible.
Actually, I think the only place I've seen anything close to indoor rain is like casinos where it like rains inside because they have a little like sprinkler thing set up. So that kind of is the devil's handiwork, I guess.
I guess, sure. Pam was also convinced that the devil was acting through Don Decker.
Yeah, what do you think made him so hot? What do you think made reenactment Don so hot, Samantha?
The devil.
Rain. Oh, I'm sorry. The devil. I get the two mixed up because they're synonymous. The rain and the devil.
So Pam is quite the character. She says, I looked at Donnie and he was in that trance, and I turned to Janine and I said, Janine, he's got to be possessed. So I guess they believed her. I don't really know. Pam is trying to convince them to call the church when suddenly water starts dripping all over the pizzeria. In the reenactment, Pam starts shouting for a crucifix, which she apparently keeps in her cash register.
Yeah. Stuff like this happens all the time at this pizzeria. She's prepared. It's like, I don't know, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something. She's in a place where this kind of shit happens all the time. Right.
So she's got to keep her crucifix in the cash register in case she has to whip it
Maybe.
out and cast a demon out of someone.
Yeah, exactly. Because the pizzeria is on a hellmouth. That's what they don't tell you.
Well, that explains everything.
It really does.
So she grabs the crucifix and runs over to Don and tries to put it around his neck, but he shouts that it is burning him. So she rips it off and is
Yeah, but
more
I just say
convinced
that all the time, and that's not true.
I mean, yeah, I get burned when I try and hold a crucifix too. That doesn't mean that
Yeah.
the devil is in me. Okay, so they leave the pizzeria.
And man, say you're a vampire.
Yeah, exactly. Which I am. Back at the Kiefer's house, Mrs. Kiefer and Mrs. Van Wy. Oh, by the way, the landlord's wife's name is Romaine Van Wy.
That's
Which-
not real.
Is that the name of a Cabbage Patch doll? Romaine Van Wy.
So it would be like the evil villain. I don't know if there was an evil villain in the Cabbage Patch world. Someone that like stomps on the Cabbage Patch, but that's what their name would be.
So they start.
Oh no, it's Romaine Van Wy. Watch out.
Run! So they start yelling at Don. I don't know why. They're convinced he's causing it, but like on purpose, I guess. They start yelling at him.
I'd be so pissed if the ceiling is leaking and everybody was like, Liz, this is all your fault. You don't even live here, but it's because you did it. And
With
it's
the
the
devil.
devil. Get out! Get out! Get out!
This is so mean. I don't understand why. Anyway, so at this moment while they're yelling at him, the pots and pans in the kitchen start to rattle, the lights flicker off, and then suddenly Dawn levitates off the ground and flies across the room.
Look, if you actually think someone is possessed by the devil, maybe you don't insult them. You don't think things can get worse than water? Think again.
Yeah,
Your pot's gonna rattle. That'll show you.
He might levitate. Okay. At this point, the police return. This time they brought the police chief, whom they've woken up out of bed.
You've never seen anything like this. It's called water.
The chief is apparently a skeptic, but they want to, I guess, prove to him that they're not making this up. I'm not really sure what they're hoping to accomplish. He, of course, is pissed and yells at his officers about how this is not a police problem, because it's not.
It really is not. It really, truly is not.
He's like, this is a plumbing issue. Call a plumber. Don't waste any more of our time. Go do your job. Apparently, to this day, the police chief is the only eyewitness who denies that anything strange happened that night, for what that's worth. The chief ordered them not to file a report and to fucking go back to work and not talk about this again.
Quit wasting your time. The side of your car doesn't say to serve and protect and also investigate water.
Yeah, like
Go back to not doing those other two things, please.
You're not a plumber. Get out of this house. Okay, but they decide that they're instead actually going to continue to investigate this water thing, and they bring a third officer in to the Kiefer's house the next morning to, quote, figure out what's going on.
Is this the guy with the white mustache?
I think so. This is Bill Davies.
It's like a little hard, completely white, just like rectangle. Or, as it's now known, the white chocolate Kit Kat.
All right. Okay. I like it.
Look, Samantha, not everything can be Alvin in the mustaches, okay? I'm not always going to achieve that level of insight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, you can't be on 100% of the time. So Bill Davies' brilliant idea is to put a bag over Don's head and have him hold a rosary.
That's always my bright idea too. What if we put a bag on your head? That'll solve everything.
So they put a bag over his head, a paper bag, and not a plastic bag, and they have him put his hands behind his back. At this point, I thought they were going to arrest him, but instead they put a rosary in his hand, and the rosary burns his hand. They grab the rosary from him and they say that it felt hot. So
not hot, but hot. They clarify. It's not like hot, but it's hot.
That's the quote. Yes.
And that's how I feel about reenactment Dawn.
It's not hot, but he's hot.
Yeah.
I forgot about that quote. That's so funny. Okay. Not hot, but hot. All right. I understand. Okay, at this point, Don once again levitates off the ground and flies across the room. When they run over to him and remove the bag from his head, they see that there are 3 claw marks down the front of his neck.
What makes them claw marks?
I mean, they don't look like claw marks in the reenactment, but that's...
Yeah, that's true. It looks a
Like-
lot more like ketchup drips.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was alarming to them. Okay, finally, on the 3rd night, they were able to convince an evangelical preacher to come to the house and perform an exorcism. Apparently, every other Catholic priest and Protestant minister in the entire town turned them down, which they made a big deal about, but I was kind of like, is not like every Catholic priest does exorcisms. Don't you have to be like specially trained? You can just call up any old priest and say, "Hey, will you perform an exorcism?" And they'll be like, "All right, I'll be right there."
I don't think most priests in the U.S. even believe in exorcisms.
Yeah, so
they also, if you made this call to a church, wouldn't you sound like you were joking? Hey, so there's a lot of rain, and we put a bag on my friend's head, and he started floating around. Anyway, could you come over? We did an exorcism, and they were like, "Yeah, sure. I got collection plate money to count. Bye."
It's wild. This is wild. So
the fact that anyone came is honestly miraculous.
They had to get someone from another town, I think. Anyway, this minister comes in and begins to pray over Dawn. At this point, he begins to convulse, but as she continues to pray, his body began to quiet down, and the longer they prayed together, the house began to take on a different feel, and everything calmed down, and they thought that, okay, we've solved this problem. We've done an exorcism, which I don't think exorcisms are just saying prayers, but whatever. It worked.
I know.
I don't, yeah, exactly. I only know exorcisms from the movies, so I guess it could be anything. But it worked, at least for a time. Robert Stack says, amazingly, the rain had stopped. And you think that's the end of it, but you're wrong. At this point, Don's furlough is over, so he returns to jail. And a few days later, the rain starts up again, but this time inside the jail. So the jail apparently put him in a maximum security cell.
Yeah, because of the danger of rain.
I guess he was deemed safe enough to let out. Why does he need to be in a maximum security jail? I guess I don't know the situation, but this seems absurd. And so he's upset by this, as you would imagine. And I guess he was just sitting in his cell thinking about how he wished he could make it rain in there, and then all of a sudden water starts coming out of the concrete floor. Like it does. Robert Stack says that at this time was different. Don realized that he could manipulate the rain at will. He tells the officer, so that officer rushes in because there's water everywhere, and the officer is yelling at him about not splashing water from the sink onto the floor. And he tells the officer that actually he's controlling the water, and the guard says, "Oh yeah, if you can control it, then make it rain in the warden's office." So he's like, "All right, I will." And at this point, in the reenactment, we switch to the warden's office, and the guard comes in and says, this prisoner is saying these crazy things. He says he can make rain appear at will, and they're both surprised to see that there is a large drip of water down the front of the warden's shirt. As we know,
oh my god, water
that can only come from one place.
The devil's sky.
The devil's realm. I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure where this water is supposed to come from, but
all rain is the work of the devil.
All water drips on the front of your shirt is not you just spilling something.
No.
It's the devil himself. Okay,
it's not that I managed to spill something on myself like literally every day of my life, despite all of the practice. No. That is the devil.
That's the devil's handiwork, Liz. So at this point, the guards call in Reverend Blackburn. It's his real name.
That's so made up.
Of course, the guy that comes in is Reverend Blackburn.
It's not Reverend Satan's hand or something.
They put Dawn and Reverend Blackburn in a room to talk. Reverend Blackburn tells Dawn to just stop making this shit up, and at that moment, he says,
like a normal priest, would you quit making this shit up? By the way, let me tell you about a talking snake in a tree.
He says that Don's demeanor changed at that point. Don initially struck him as mild-mannered, pleasant, but suddenly he became scary, and a smell came into the room that he says smelled like death times 5.
And he's used to jails and prisons smelling great. So this was quite the surprise.
So he describes it as evil and foreboding. Reverend Blackburn says that Don raised his hand and calmly started rubbing his fingers together. And at that moment, it started to rain in the room. And it keeps getting weirder, folks. Reverend Blackburn describes it as the devil's rain, like a mist. You know,
Yep.
the devil's rain. We all know what that is.
That's why everybody refers to the state of Maine, which I feel like must have a lot of mist. That's why we all refer to that as the devil's state.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
It's
common.
You know, the devil's rain, mist. Actually, I'm just going to call mist that from now on.
It's devil's raining outside right now, actually.
Oh, no!
Reverend Blackburn pulls out his Bible and started reading to Don. Mysteriously, the pages of the Bible remained dry.
Honestly, that's the part of this I find the least realistic. Where it's like, all right, he levitated. All right, it was raining indoors. All right, rosaries burned him. The pages of the Bible stayed dry. And I was like, that's not true.
If you were writing this book, your editor would be like, we get it.
Can we take this part out? It's a little much.
This is getting to be a little much. So soon after he started reading from the Bible, the rain subsided and Don began to cry. They hugged and prayed together, and it was like the evil had been lifted.
Okay.
Yep. Reverend Blackburn is convinced that Don was possessed by the devil, but fortunately, that was the last time they had any incidents of the evil rain. And
Man, the devil is weak. I had no idea the devil was such a pussy. That's all it took.
I guess just reading from the Bible a little bit.
If this is true, I'm going to stop hailing him because it's not impressive.
It really isn't. It really isn't. So at the end of the segment, we quickly meet Chip Decker, who is not related to Don and looks like a Bigfoot hunter, is what I wrote in my notes.
Chip Decker. These fake names need more effort than Chip Decker. That sounds like it was made by like a name generator.
Yeah, it kind of does. He's there with his colleague Peter Jordan, who I wrote down just looks greasy. He he has a slicked back mullet. Yeah, it's kind of gross. These two are, quote, the chief paranormal investigators on the case. Chip says that what makes this case credible are the eyewitnesses. There are many of them, and they're all credible. Peter Jordan calls this case the Rain Boy case and says that it is singularly the most important case he has ever been involved in.
Did one of them have a mustache?
I think Chip may have. And then his friend Jordan had like a beard mustache thing going on to accompany his.
I don't think that's who I was thinking of. Go on.
That's the end of the Unsolved Mysteries segment. I have a little bit more information
about the devil's rain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have an explanation, but there is one main person that wrote an article like analyzing that. I don't know if analyzing is the right word. Robert Bartholomew wrote an article for Skeptics magazine. I didn't find the actual article, but I found another article that talked about the article. I don't know, whatever. He says that, or he proposes that a possible explanation for this incident was a combination of high stress and ice damming. If you're not familiar with ice damming, it's like when ice builds up on your roof, and it can be caused by like warm temperatures in the day and really cold temperatures at night when the sun goes down. Like that's why they tell you to like clear the snow off your roof if there's a lot, because it can cause ice dams, because the snow will melt and then freeze at night, and then you can have like water come into your house. And apparently the conditions around this time in this area were good for ice damming, which might explain why there was water coming into the house in an area of the house where there was no pipes.
Okay, that seems very plausible.
He says a couple things like, obviously, Don was under an incredible amount of stress. He was in jail. This man had died whom had abused him his entire life. His family were like celebrating his life as if he was the greatest guy around. Meanwhile, he knows that he had been abused by this man for years. And then he also proposes that there was like an element of like group hysteria because their first inclination was to call an exorcist instead of like taking him to the doctor or calling a plumber.
So
Calling
a plumber.
It seems like at no point did anyone call a plumber,
Never happens.
including the landlord, whom you would expect the landlord to know what an ice dam is. I mean, if you live in an area where you can get ice dams, you would think you would know about that if you owned a property. I'm not sure. But he says
that's giving landlords a lot of credit, Samantha, and I don't know that that's true.
Well, I guess that's true. You're right. The other thing that he says in his article is, but I'm not really sure this is evidence of anything. He says, why didn't anyone record the mysterious phenomenon on, like, take a picture or video? And I'm just not sure at this time that everyone had cameras in their houses or camcorders. And then he also says, why didn't they call a local TV news station? And I kind of feel like if they had, you would just say they're doing it for attention. Like, that would be your evidence.
That's a good point.
So I'm not really sure what that's evidence of at all. But anyway, that's what he proposes.
I feel really bad that if it's an ice dam, that all of his friends were like, how dare you cause this, when really it was caused by ice.
I mean, his
friends were so quick to turn on him.
That's true. And he does some weird things. I will say, if you want some more information about this, because there is more information about this case, you should listen to the Trail Went Cold podcast, episode 168. Robin Warner does an episode about this, and there's more information that is not in Unsolved Mysteries, because this case was also profiled on the Sci-Fi Channel's Paranormal Witness show, I believe is what it's called, and there's some contradictory accounts from some of the witnesses, including Don himself, and Robin goes into all of that. There's also some juicy, like, spooky Unsolved Mysteries lore, like when they went to film this, some like spooky things happened, and he goes into that. So definitely listen to that podcast, because it's much better research than what I'm giving you right now,
than anything we've ever done.
And Dawn does some weird things too. They don't go into Unsolved Mysteries. They don't go into it on Unsolved Mysteries. So listen to Robin's podcast about that. Again, it's episode 168 of the Trail Went Cold podcast. I listened to it. It was very well done, very enlightening, very interesting. And I'm not sure like that I fully know what's going on here. The only information on the Unsolved Mysteries wiki is that in 2012, Don was arrested and charged with arson. Apparently, a friend of his paid him to burn down their restaurant so they could get insurance money, and he got caught. So I'm not sure that he's like the most credible person around, but also, you know, they might not be connected. This happened years later. I don't know.
One is Samantha, one is fire and one is rain. Couldn't be more different.
Exactly.
Actually, I was going to bring that up too, because when I said on Twitter that we were going to be talking about this case this week, Robin said, from the Trail Went Cold podcast, said, yep, as silly as the story might be, if someone intentionally perpetuated a hoax, they went through a lot of trouble and convinced a number of credible witnesses that it was real. So apparently this has been the one paranormal case from Unsolved Mysteries that he has not been able to fully explain. So that's kind of cool.
You always have to think about who would what do they get from this? Do they profit off of it? And it seems like their house was destroyed. It was full of water. They didn't go on TV until they only did the Unsolved Mysteries, and then years later they did the Paranormal Witness thing. And I don't think that brought them a lot of notoriety. So it doesn't seem like they stood to gain much from hoaxing this. And it would also be a super elaborate hoax.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hoax. I am kind of leaning towards that ice dam thing. That makes sense. But in a way, I kind of don't want to know. I just like it being a weird, mysterious thing.
If it was an ice dam, how do you explain the rain in the pizzeria and the rain in the jail?
Okay, the rain in the jail sounds like it was literally just water.
Yeah, you're right. But
the pizzeria thing I cannot explain.
Did the pizzeria also have an ice dam? I guess it would be a wild coincidence.
I mean, which is more likely? 2 places had ice dams in winter, or that this guy can control rain?
50-50.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying I don't know, and I kind of like it that way. I want life to have some mysterious... I'm not Mulder. I would like life to have some mysterious things in it.
Yeah, you're right.
One of them.
You're right. I totally agree.
Yeah. We don't really know what happened. It's a really fucking weird story.
I agree. And it took up most of the episode, but I enjoyed it. And it has really good production value. Unsolved Mysteries really went all out on these reenactments, and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's well done. It's silly as it's a silly story in some ways.
Well, in a lot of ways.
They put a bag on someone's head. But they clearly were okay, we got a good mystery here. we got to really sink our teeth into this one. It's not a kid that went missing and it's going to make everyone cry. It's raining inside. Finally. Yeah, I like it. It's a good one.
It was good. It was good.
It's something. It is something. You could say that. Okay. Our next case is an unexplained death from 1992. So this is an unsolved murder. It takes place in Emeryville, across the bay from San Francisco. So it opens up with a reenactment of a motorcyclist approaching a gas station, but driving like kind of slow and badly. Robert Stack described it as a strange, erratic fashion. After arriving at the gas station, the driver falls to the ground and EMTs were called. The person had a weak pulse. There was no signs of an accident. Like the bike wasn't damaged. He didn't appear to be bleeding. They weren't sure what was wrong, but they took him to the hospital and discovered that he had 3 very small bullet wounds from a small caliber weapon that had led to massive internal bleeding. So the victim was 30-year-old Michael Hunter. And then Robert Stack says, what happened to Michael is unfortunately an all too common occurrence in today's big cities. And I went, it is? What? You know, when you're just like trying to ride your sweet motorcycle around and you get shot 3 times with a small caliber weapon.
Yeah, it happened to me the other day.
Happens all the time. I was like, I don't think that's a common occurrence, Robert Stack. I don't know where you're going. So we learned that Michael lived for one thing and one thing only, and that was high-speed racing. So that day, he had just been out for a ride to enjoy the good weather. We know that he stopped by an ATM, and from the camera from that ATM, you don't see, there's nothing unusual. There doesn't appear to be like someone holding him at gunpoint or something like that. After that, he stopped by a liquor store and purchased a pint of whiskey that he still had on him when he was taken to the hospital. What happened next is unknown. They speculate that he stopped somewhere to like take in the bay and the bridge, and that maybe at that point he was robbed at gunpoint, but that's completely speculation. They also speculate that maybe the robber demanded his motorcycle, which was custom made, and he like would have been pretty reluctant to give up. So they're thinking that he tried to drive away and was shot while driving away or riding away. What do you say with the motorcycle? Whatever.
I'm riding, I think.
He doesn't drive it. Okay.
I mean,
well, right. You can tell
you
can tell I'm an expert. Okay. So he was probably shot with driving away, which kind of matched where the bullet wounds were. One of them would have caused a great deal of pain because it shattered a major bone in his leg. But he still, and everybody was like impressed that he still managed to make it to the gas station, though it's also not clear like where he was shot exactly. And so you basically just hear then from his family saying that it would have been easier to accept if he had died in a motorcycle accident because he was like knowingly taking on that risk to do something that he loved. And in this case, it just, I don't know, it seems like he was probably just robbed. But honestly, they don't know. This is still unsolved.
Yeah. These last mysteries are super quick.
Yeah, that's literally all there is to it. He passed away from those wounds shortly after arriving in the hospital. It's suspected that it was for a robbery, but literally Unsolved Mysteries Wiki just says results unsolved. That's it. His family had gathered $10,000 for a reward, but nothing ever came of it. So, sorry, Michael Hunter. We don't know what happened to you.
Yeah, that was sad. And unfortunately, unsolved.
And all too common in today's major metropolitan areas. All right. So I believe this next mustache is what you were referring to, correct?
Yes.
This is our MVM. This is our most valuable mustache. It is gigantic. It is the size of a baby's arm.
It kind of looks like a croissant. I'm looking at a picture of it right now. I snapped a picture on my phone so I could reference it, and it looks like a croissant.
It is like croissant shaped, and it's gigantic.
It's so big.
It seems like it's like the size of my face.
Well, and this guy has like a kind of a small head, so it's like looks even
it's
bigger.
Like a third of his face. Yeah. I called it the platypus's baby.
Why does that creep me out?
It creeps me out too. But it just kind of looks like a baby platypus is taking a nap on his face.
It does. It does look like it just, or maybe it kind of also looks like a slug. I don't know.
Yeah,
This is the
it's not great.
mustache. The mustache of Detective Anthony Yakaki of Danbury Police Department. Okay, so this is a fraud, and this is super fast as well. And I don't know. I'm not sure.
Honestly, I don't even remember this segment except for the mustache. That's all that has stuck in my mind. And also, that's my only note.
We're looking for someone who Robert Stack calls like a hospital hopping con man.
Oh, that guy. Okay. Yeah. What is that con? Just racking up medical debt? How is that a con?
I don't know. I guess it's a con, but also I don't know. Anyway, the police are searching for the identity of a deceased man who called himself Tom Hughes. Just before 9 a.m. on February 11, 1992, Tom went under cardiac arrest at a hospital in Danbury, Connecticut. For 90 minutes, doctors worked to revive him, but were unsuccessful. So the thing about this segment is that Robert Stack introduced this guy as a hospital hopping con man, which at this point I don't understand why he's doing this. And then the segment opens with a man going into cardiac arrest and then dying. And I was very convinced that this man faked his own death. I was like, how did he do this? Like,
if only. In
the reenactment, they shock him with like the paddles. And I was sitting there watching this like, how is he faking this? Like, how did he convince them that he was dead? But he was actually under cardiac arrest. It was real, and he actually really did die. The hospital hopping happened before.
It's what's kind of weird is like we need to know the identity of this man to catch him. Oh, by the way, he's dead. Like, I think his crimes have died with him.
Yeah,
I don't know that we need to really worry about the hospital hopping anymore.
They make
he's literally dead.
They don't tell you he's dead. This opens as a fraud, and then they tell you they're searching for the identity of a con man. So I'm watching this like, how did he? This is amazing. This is the most incredible con I've ever seen. They're performing CPR on him right now.
This guy's a genius. He's the Houdini of our age. Yeah, sorry, Samantha.
No, he actually died, which is not funny. But I was like, what is going on here? So they tried to contact his wife, but they discovered that her name and phone number were fake. Also fake were Tom's social security number, address, employer, and name. Among his possessions were a receipt from a hospital in California and a bus ticket stub from Pennsylvania to Connecticut. With these clues, authorities soon uncovered Tom's bizarre fraud scheme. Up until his death, he had practically been what Robert Stack calls a professional hospital patient. He would stay in a hospital for 3 to 7 days before sneaking out and leaving his bills unpaid, going to a different one. He would complain about minor aches and pains in his back to get prescription pain pills is what he was doing. He was trying to get prescriptions for opiates. He was clearly addicted to opioids, and he was going from hospital to hospital trying to get these medications is what he was doing. He had made 16 phone calls before he died. All of these calls were to various attorneys. It's believed that he was planning to file lawsuits against companies for his injuries. I don't know if that's true. He may have also tried to borrow money from them for traveling. I don't know why they think this, because the segment is super quick. Authorities believe that he took painkillers at the various hospitals that he visited. The large amounts of painkillers may have contributed to his cardiac arrest and his death. They are hoping to identify him. There is a photo of him.
Why?
I
Just
guess
to bury his body, or because they want someone to pay these hospital bills?
You know what? I suspect it might be someone to pay these hospital bills. But otherwise, I'm not sure. I guess to give his family closure. I'm not really sure, but probably to pay the hospital bills. So this is solved. Viewers recognized him and positively identified him as a man named Thomas Patrick White. He, according to Unsolved Mystery, had Munchausen syndrome. I don't know if that's true or if he was just addicted to.
I think he just has an opiate addiction
to opiates. Yeah, that's they identified him. It's solved. I don't know.
I feel like that would be interesting if on new Unsolved Mysteries they just started doing cases of people with unpaid medical debt, and then they were like, oh wait, it's actually we're looking for millions of Americans that can't pay their medical debt. It actually is a ton of people. So it just I mean, I guess this guy, yeah, was like lying about his identity to get pills or whatever. But I was also like, don't people do this all the time?
That's kind of what
Is
I
this,
was thinking too. I
is
was like,
this
is
a
this?
special? Is this special?
I guess
This
maybe
deserves a whole segment.
at this point it wasn't as common or as talked about. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I mean, not that uncommon. But I guess yeah, they were trying to find out who he really was, and they did. So hopefully his family didn't get saddled with those hospital bills.
Yeah, they could probably get out of that. Let's hope. Okay,
hope
we got
so.
one more mystery. What are we at now? Oh, we're at a lost love. So, this is the case of Irene Love from Los Angeles. In 1962, we have a reenactment of 16-year-old Irene killing time at home. She was like playing records and just puttering around the house and ended up going through some of her mom's stuff, at which point she found her birth certificate, which listed her name as Irene Wynn and had the same birthday. So she was like, oh, apparently this is me, but I don't understand why. So when her mom came home, she asked her about it. And her mom eventually confessed that she was adopted 3 days after she was born. And now we get a bunch of really cute photos of her and her best friend Dolores growing up, and just like, I don't know, it's so cute. So anyway, growing up, she had spent a ton of time with this other family and their daughter Dolores, and they'd gone on camping trips and done everything together. But then after Dolores's mom suddenly died of kidney disease, Irene never saw Dolores again, and she didn't know why. So in confessing to Irene that she's actually adopted, she learns from her mom that it turns out the restaurant they went to every Sunday was where Irene's birth mother worked as a server. So this gave her biological mother a chance to see Irene grow up without her knowing. And then, like, after a few years of that, her birth father got a job too at that same cafeteria so that he could see her. And they would like switch spots where they sat. So they would like be in different sections so both of them could see her grow up, which is honestly like really sweet. But I would be kind of creeped out to learn that. Anyway, oh, and so we also learned that after Dolores's mother had died, she was taken to those two cafeteria employees because it turns out that, oh my goodness, you totally saw this coming. Irene and Dolores are actually sisters.
Yeah,
Dolores was 1 year older, and she was also the biological child of that couple that worked at the cafeteria. And Irene's mother had never told her the truth because she was worried that she would lose her to her biological parents, whose names were Glenn and Ramona Wynn. So so Irene is on the program, and she is seeking both Dolores Ford and Glenn and Ramona Wynn, her biological parents, now that her own mother has passed away. Because I sort of feel like, you know, she says she had like a really happy, like perfect childhood, and she did really love her adopted parents. So I don't think she wanted them to feel like she was gonna, I don't know, leave them for her biological parents. But I think her adopted mother had passed away. So she was seeking her biological family and also her best friend, who was really her sister, Dolores Ford. Unfortunately, there's like not really an update to this. It's unresolved. If you look at Unsolved Mysteries Wiki, it says records show that Glenn passed away in Gardena, California in 1988, which would have been before this segment aired in 1993. Others records show that Dolores Wynn Henderson was born in 1945 and passed away in Los Angeles in 1991. However, it's unclear if that is actually Dolores Ford. Sadly, Irene has passed away. She died in 2012. Her granddaughter reported that she was able to locate some of her birth family, but not all of them. And then we have an unconfirmed story from supposedly a friend of the Wynns who said that Irene was able to locate Ramona, and sadly, Dolores had already passed away. However, the friend claims that Dolores was able to reunite with Ramona and several of her children, but that is not confirmable. When you're watching this, you're like, oh, well, this will definitely be solved because she has so many pictures. And she had like so much good information about the people she was looking for. And unfortunately, I think it's just a little too late.
Yeah, it's a big bummer.
Yeah. So that's kind of a sad note that it ends on, because I thought we were going to get this like adorable reunion, and you don't.
I'm sort of annoyed with Unsolved Mysteries. Is there a point in keeping the lost loves in these if there's no reunion? Like,
I guess
Like,
just
it's
to
just
like lighten it up, sort
bums
of.
us out. I mean,
Yeah.
and they never found their last loved one in the end. Like, it's really a bummer.
Like, you hear Irene talking about her childhood, and it did really seem like so idyllic and perfect. And she had spent all this time with Dolores, not even knowing that she was her sister. Like, they would like spend Christmases together and stuff.
I
Like,
know.
they would open up gifts together and get all the same gifts. Like, and she wanted to like reconnect with her over these like happy childhood memories. And I think she like basically just missed her chance. I hate it.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. And there's no mustaches to speak of, but the old childhood photos are very cute. Anyway, that's the end.
That's it. Should we rate
Yep.
it?
I think we have to by law.
Mysteriousness. I think I got to give a thumbs up too.
Thumbs up. I didn't even see Mysterious Rain coming. That's how mysterious this is. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle, choked with a surprise. I don't know. It's so good.
It's really good. Reenactments. I also have to give a
So
thumbs up
pretty good.
too. They're
Yeah.
great. Yeah, the reenactments were super good. Fashion.
There's some good fashion in that last segment I just talked about. Otherwise, pretty unremarkable.
I have to say the fashion is unremarkable, but we normally roll mustaches in with fashion. So, given how many mustaches there are, do we have to give it a thumbs up?
You have to. I was like sick. I was like, okay, we get it. Everybody had silly mustaches. Enough is enough. Yeah, thumbs up.
A lot of mustaches. And Robert Stack, I think, did an okay job.
Yeah, he is convinced that if you like walk into a city, you're gonna be shot 3 times. But other than that, I might have to give him a sideways just for how dumb that idea is.
We could do that.
You know, when you're just like out for a motorcycle ride, you know what happens to everyone that does that? Oh, they get shot 3 times. Oh, that's weird. Oh, by the way, if you went to Sturgis, you're not allowed to listen to this podcast.
Yeah,
That's a
fuck
rule.
all those people. I'm
That's
sure
a
there's
rule.
no one listening to this podcast who also that Venn diagram is not.
Maybe that was one person. Maybe that's one person, but I take your download away. Goodbye. Goodbye. There's a pandemic going on. You don't need to cosplay as a biker. You don't need to like put your expensive motorcycle in a trailer and actually drive it all the way there. Please.
I hate it.
I know. Okay.
Right. Let's recommend some stuff.
Man, oh man, I hope you're gonna recommend something, but
I can mention it. I think I have to.
I think you have to. Okay. So my recommendation is nail polish. And I'm almost like, okay, whatever. What? But that's what I have to recommend this week. So sorry about it. Being home all the time. Am I wearing makeup? No. For who? I guess for myself, but it's like too much effort. And the dogs don't care. The dogs aren't going to go, that is a killer highlighter, Liz. They don't care. Those mutts. But it does give me a lot of time to paint my nails, which I'm slowly but surely getting better at, a skill I have never possessed. And the nail polish that I'm really enjoying is called Ice Cream Nails.
Okay.
Like ice
Like
cream.
ice cream?
Like ice cream, but spelled I Scream, like the
Okay.
movie Scream. And it's because their bottles are like, the tops are little cones, and then the bottles are circular. They're like little upside down ice creams. This is an Australian-based company, but they do have, they also ship out of the US. So it doesn't necessarily take all the time it takes to get from Australia if you live in the US, if that makes sense. And I think I first became aware of them when they did a collab with Trixie Mattel, but I didn't buy anything from that. I just recently bought some because I wanted confetti nail polish, and they have a bunch. But this, it's just like, I know I like once was talking about how you don't actually need to spend enough money on makeup. Like there's plenty of good cheap makeup. Mm-hmm. I feel like spending a tiny bit more on nail polish makes painting your nails a lot easier. Is that true?
No,
does that make any sense?
It's totally true.
So I feel like I've always bought like cheap, shitty nail polish, and then I was like, you know what? I want this like cute confetti nail polish, a whole $12 a bottle. Well. And I was like, oh, this is so much easier. Is this why other people have nice looking nails? They were willing to spend $12 on a bottle of nail polish? See, it's all starting to make sense. So I have a few colors here. The first one I got was called Party Starter, And that's just a clear that has a bunch of like different glitters on it. And that is great if you're bad at painting your nails like me, because the base is clear. So then you're just like slapping glitter on there. Done. Looks great. Super cute. And then I more recently got, this is what I'm wearing right now. This is called, what is it called? Rainbow frosting. So it's like a kind of sheer white that has pink and blue and purple glitter in it. It's really cute. And I also got a jelly. So that's like
Ooh.
yeah, so it's like a semi-clear, I don't even know what you call it. It's, yeah, it looks like Jello. It's like, this one is a bright pink. It's called The Bomb, but it's a jelly polish, so that looks super cute. And I feel so dumb recommending this, but I honestly do really like them.
Good nail polish. You know, you got to get a recommendation, because not all like expensive nail polish, like Essie, for example, I really like. They have really good colors, but it chips super easy.
Oh, okay.
So like, you kind of need the recommendation.
What's kind of nice about a clear confetti polish is that if it starts chipping, you can't really tell.
Yeah,
Or
that
you
is
can
nice.
just like dab more on there, and it's like, it's fine. I did get one that I didn't like, and I actually don't think they make this anymore. But it's a clear that has big glittery stars in it called Star Storm. But the glitter in this is too big, so it's
sure.
actually kind of hard to get any on the brush to go on your nail. And I know if I was like some YouTube person, I would like pour it out and apply the little glitter with tweezers. But oh my god,
With
that's
time for that.
no. Even now, when I have all the time in the world, no, that's not happening. But I actually think they stopped making this. So
Okay.
that one I was like, all right, I don't know about this. But these other two are super nice, or these other three are super nice, and I don't know. It makes me feel a little like less of a total slob, even though I'm just like lying around in pajamas covered in Cheeto dust. I wish actually I don't have any Cheetos. That actually sounds great.
That sounds delicious.
The other nail polish I like, I guess I'll just throw that in too, is the Anna Sui nail polish, which I feel like she's like a huge brand, but like in Asia, and I feel like I don't know. They used to carry her at Sephora a billion years ago, but I feel like nobody ever really talks about it here. But her nail polishes are amazing. I have a yellow glittery one, and it just like, it makes your nails look like they're fake. Like it is so like lies like so perfectly. I don't know. It's just better. What does that mean? I have no idea. You just like put it on and you're like, oh, so this is what it would be like if I wasn't buying like, Sally Hansen or whatever at Walgreens.
Right.
It's like, oh, this actually works and doesn't get all clumpy and strange. I see. I'm sort of enjoying sitting around painting them for like probably the first time ever. I've always found it kind of annoying. So, and is it like the one thing I will do that's like not looking at a screen of some various size, where I'm like I'm like, oh, I shouldn't look at my phone anymore. Better go play Animal Crossing. Oh, I shouldn't play Animal Crossing anymore. Better watch TV. It's like, Liz, these are just different screens. You're not actually doing anything. I will warn you not to give this company your real email address or your main email address, because they email you every fucking day. I swear I get an email from Ice Cream Nails every fucking day that there is like some new color or something they have to alert me about. But that said, they do have sales a lot. So you probably don't have to pay full price. You can probably like buy 3, get 1 half off, whatever. They always seem to be doing something. But I would recommend, perhaps if you have an email you give out for just junk, I would definitely give them that one and not your main one. Good
advice. All right. Is it time for my recommendation?
It sure is. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Okay.
Potatoes. Oh, sorry.
I didn't have anything to recommend. So Liz did suggest that I recommend potatoes, which again is my standing recommendation. It's just always potatoes. So I put the call out to our Facebook group and said, the 5, what are you enjoying that you would recommend to the other 5? So I got those, but I think before I read those, I need to read the other suggestion that Liz said that I should recommend, which is this article.
This is kind of Mac's recommendation. He's been laughing about this for days. Like, I'll just find him chuckling somewhere, and it's about this.
So this is an article from CBC radio, I think. Yeah, CBC radio. And if you want to look this up yourself, which I highly recommend it because honestly, I'm going to be chuckling about this for days. It's hilarious. And the pictures, you really got to see the accompanying pictures. The title of this article is German Nudist Goes on Birthday Suit Pursuit of Wild Boar Who Stole His Laptop.
Yep, common day occurrence. Why even put that in the newspaper?
Is a thing that happens. So I'm just going to read some of the highlights of this article. A German man who was trying to enjoy a swim on a scorching afternoon at a lake in Berlin frequented by nude bathers ended up in hot pursuit of an unusual thief, a wild boar. Nearby, Adele Landauer was also relaxing after a refreshing skinny dip when she noticed a wild boar and her two babies had ventured out of the nearby woods and were helping themselves to a pizza brought there by unwitting swimmers who were in the lake at the time.
There were babies.
There's two babies. Have you seen the picture? It's really hilarious. And
I guess I didn't notice the babies. That's so funny.
There's two little babies. So she got on her phone to capture some pictures of the boars for her granddaughter when an even more cheeky scene began to unfold.
Oh, that's writing right there.
After finishing the pizza, the mother boar ventured over to a bright yellow shopping bag. They took the bag and ran away. But as it happens, the bag contained the laptop of a man who was swimming at the time. So he starts running after these boars, and apparently all of the people like hanging out started cheering on the boars.
That's mean.
They were shouting, "Go for it! Yes, yes!" As this man is naked chasing these boars around. Yeah, this is honestly hilarious.
The picture is like it should be recreated in an oil painting and put in a museum. Like it's so good.
It's really funny. I highly recommend looking this up.
I'm so glad someone was able to capture a picture of it because you would just never believe it to just hear about it.
It's really funny. Okay, so now on to some of our listeners' recommendations. There's quite a few, so I'll probably just rapid fire these. Listener Nora suggests Counted Cross Stitch company that makes patterns, mostly snarky patterns, which are some of my favorite cross. So if you're a cross stitcher, you might want to look up Steph X Stitch on Etsy. I'm looking at one right now that is Land Before Time theme, and it's Littlefoot, and it says motherfucking tree stars, bitch. Did you ever watch the Land Before Time?
Oh, of course. Did I have those hand puppets from Pizza Hut? Sure did.
The Land Before Time was so sad.
Oh my God.
Looking back on
all movies at that era are super sad. Secret of Nim.
Yes.
Sad. This is why we're all warped. They would never make stuff for kids like that now. It's like, no. And then everything died.
And then their parents died. Okay. Listener Sarah is recommending Big Brother. Apparently there is an all-star season happening right now, which I think is honestly escapism. Reality TV, I can understand it. And on a related note, listener Sarah says that a former contestant named Audrey started her own social strategy game called Sequester. I have no idea what this is. You can find it on YouTube. Listener Sarah says that they're doing it and it's a blast. So check it out if that's something you're interested in.
All right.
Social strategy game. It sounds like the opposite of anything I'd ever want to do, but if you're more extroverted, you may want to look into that.
Liz, you know how you hate socializing and you hate games? Man, oh man, we have the thing for you.
Listener Annie, hi Annie, suggests the show Insecure on HBO.
Oh yeah, I've been meaning to watch that.
Apparently there's 4 seasons and it's very bingeable. Listener Elise suggests if you want to do crafty things that you may want to look into paper quilting or fluid pour painting, which I'm mesmerized by those fluid pour painting things.
That's true. Those are cool.
I guess you can get kits on Amazon and on Michael's for pretty cheap. Listener Lilani suggests the YouTube channel Twins the New Trend, which I actually saw going viral. These are 2 twin brothers who listen to music from before their time and react to it. They recently did a
the Phil Collins one.
The Phil Collins, it just left my brain. They did the Phil Collins reaction that just went viral. Apparently all of their videos are super nice.
It's very wholesome entertainment. It's very pure.
Apparently all of their videos are great and you should check them out. Listener Elise also suggests Let's Make Art, which has art kits for $15 to $35. So if you're looking for something to do inside, that might be something to check out. Listener KT suggests watching the original recipe Law and Order, which I think you always get behind that.
But you gotta quit at like 9/11. It sounds weird, but the tone of that show completely changes after 9/11, as I realized in my rewatch and then abandoned because man, oh man, is it a different show, a different unwatchable show. Yeah.
Listener Ellie suggests a playlist of videos by self-described extreme minimalist.
That does not sound like me at all.
Apparently her voice is super soothing, so you might want to listen to this if that's something you're into. This is definitely not me either, but maybe some soothing background music. Listener Mary Jean, OG listener, one of the OG 5, recommends the YouTube channel Kittyosaurus, which is apparently adorable cats doing homemade obstacle courses. Where could you go wrong?
All right.
Listener Zainab, we miss you so much. Recently moved to Chicago, is suggesting, and I hope I pronounced this right, the Jelly Marble League on YouTube, which I looked into and is apparently marble racing. Listener Maria is suggesting a Etsy shop called Lear. I can't pronounce things. Learthus. Leearthaus. And this is, oh my gosh, they have a capybara. This is art prints of animals doing like mundane human things. So I'm looking at a whole bunch of little dogs in a bathtub. The one that caught my eye was this print of capybaras eating donuts and drinking coffee. Oh, they have a whole capybara series.
What?
This is a capybara eating some wine and cheese. This is a capybara eating a taco. Here's a capybara eating some ramen. I'm into that. Okay, you should definitely check them out on Etsy. Sorry, I struggled to pronounce that name. That's the last one. So check those out. We're not going to put these on the website. There's too many. But if you are on Facebook, you can go join our Facebook group and you'll see the thread if you want to find links to some of these Etsy shops. Our listeners always have great suggestions and great recommendations when I don't have something to recommend. I guess I did. I had that article about the nudist chasing the wild boar, but
you just brought in some extra content.
Your mileage may vary with that one.
I mean, it's well worth a look. I actually have a recommendation update.
Ooh.
Before I almost forgot, but before I forget, I listened to the No Sleep version of Baraska.
Ah, yes.
So as you may recall, last week I recommended the audio drama Baraska from Q Code, which I am low-key obsessed with. And that started off as a No Sleep Reddit post by CK Walker. I believe that's not really her name, but the No Sleep podcast did a recording of that for their season 7 finale. So it's season 7, episode 25. And it's much shorter than the Q Code one. It's just over 2 hours. But I was wrong when I said it was just a reading. They do have a full cast. But there's a lot more narration and there's a lot less dialogue, obviously, because it's a lot shorter. So it is a bit different. I think if I had listened to this first, I don't know that I would be as into the story because it doesn't pull you in. It's hard to know because now I already know what happens, but
Sure.
It doesn't have these like same mysterious elements that keep stringing you along. Like it kind of has the setup and then you find out much faster, right? Like it sets all the things into place and then it's like, and here's what's going on, and it's kind of like, oh. But in a way that might have made it more jarring because I don't know that things seemed like as bad, and then you find out was, it's, I don't, if you're curious about it, it's not bad. I think it's still worth a listen, but I definitely liked the other one more.
So definitely listen to the other one first.
Yeah, and I listened to it kind of hoping it would answer some questions that I had from the other one, and that absolutely did not happen. So I was like, oh, maybe this will be explained. Maybe this, and then I was like, no, none of that is even in this because it's so much shorter. So
sure,
whatever. That's the update on that. If there's a different episode of the No Sleep podcast that you would recommend, let me know. I mean, there's so many episodes, I kind of don't even know where to begin. But if that's something you're more knowledgeable about, Give me a
us know.
line. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that pretty much wraps it up. Curtis is like rolling around being super cute right now.
Aw, Curtis.
Hi, Curtis. He says hi. He misses you. And he also wants everyone to leave us a 5-star review. So
Yes,
you
please
kind of have to
do.
do it. You have to do it because Curtis said so. Think about that.
That's the law. You can also follow us on the social medias at Perhaps It's You on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have 2 Facebook groups. If you're still on Facebook, you can check us out. We have a regular Facebook group that I just talked about and a spin-off Facebook group for people who are playing Animal Crossing.
It makes total sense. Also, we have a website. Maybe I'll update our recommendations on there. There's also all of our contact info. You can listen to episodes, blah, blah, blah. That's perhapsitsyou.com. And Patreon this month is going to also be for the Unsolved Mysteries reboot. I think we're doing episodes 3 and 4.
Yes.
So you're going to want to cough up at least $1, at least one almighty dollar to listen to that and to listen to our episodes about the low files.
Yeah.
I know that you're curious. Also, after those came out, Rob Lowe started a podcast.
I know. What's up with that? I think we inspired Rob Lowe to start his podcast. No, it can't
be. Probably. I'm sure he's definitely heard of us. I'm sure that wasn't something he was planning for a long time. No.
Rob Lowe, you have to give us at least $1. Come on.
Yeah, come on, Rob Lowe. I know you have. I know you've got it. I know you. You don't carry around a wallet, but I know you got $1. Isn't there something else that we say? Why can I never remember? Social media, website. Oh, you should send us your ghost stories or perhaps your psychic dreams or any other paranormal encounters. Perhaps you podcast, gmail.com. We will be having some merch coming out soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
You're going to want
an update.
Tell you.
And I will be working on the zine as well. So there's that. I think that's pretty much everything. I'm suddenly super tired.
I know.
Should we just all take naps now?
I think that's, we should have a snack and then take a nap.
All right. Do that, everybody. Keep barking.
Bye.
Bye.